Jose, it's all yours, man. We're just having a
All
conversation.
right, bro. Yeah. So, well, before I start, I want to first say thank you and for allowing me to have this space right after Gil, of course. But I don't think anybody can fill Gil's shoes. And actually, I wasn't part of the meeting because I was onboarding another agent last week. But Megan was on, and she took like 3 pages of notes. So, but I appreciate what you're doing, and we're super grateful for the network, and we're trying to grow here. So I'm going to share a little bit about my story, and we're going to shift it into what I'm doing in the business. And it took me a while to figure this out, but it's all in God's timing. If you guys follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I'm very deep in my faith, and that all started back when I was in no man's land. I was a musician for 25 plus years, playing in different clubs around Houston. I traveled all over the United States. And in 2019, my wife and I were going through some troubles, and she gave me an ultimatum: either we give our lives to Jesus or we don't. And I'm not gonna make this too churchy for you guys, but I'm just gonna go with the flow because this is this is a story, right? So in 2020, my wife and I we finished a 13-week curriculum, and we decided to get baptized January 5th of 2020. We immediately go into prayer and fast for 21 days. Day number 20, my wife almost passes out at church. Turns out she was pregnant with who is now our 3.5-year-old. When we couldn't have any more kids, that's why our kids are, one of them is 11 and the other one is 3. So that's where the whole journey started for me, in this faith walk. And I have, this testimony is way too long, so if anybody wants to hear, you guys can DM me, and I can share, because it's amazing what God is doing in our lives. But we shifted our mindset, and when I was a part of Eli's team for a little bit, I was still struggling with mind monsters. I was still I didn't know what to do, and I shared that with Eli, a little bit about what I was struggling with, because we all go through the season of unworthiness, and what am I doing, God? Like, sometimes I don't hear you, like you're not speaking to me, and this is where I needed to make a decision, because it was not only affecting my life, but it was also affecting Eli's team, and I didn't want that to Eli and his team had it all, set, and I didn't want to affect that at all. So I removed myself from that, and I remember that phone call that I made to Eli, and it was a tough conversation. Um, but then jump into 2023. I started asking God for a vision, and what I wanted to do, and immediately after that happened, January of 2023, um, this random guy posted on Katie Real Estate, "Hey, I'm looking for a brokerage," and I reached out to him, not knowing that he would still be my partner till this day, Peter. Peter's a rock star. I think he captained the first 6 months. He has a very tight niche, and he's embraced that. So till this day, he's recruited another agent. So now he's with, it's him and Hannah, who work together in getting deals and putting them together, and it's quite amazing to see what they're doing together. And when that started happening, God was like, okay, because you like pouring into others, I'm going to pour into you so you could start doing that. And immediately, Twyla joined us, 4 others, and now fast forward to 2024, we're 10 agents, one as of last week, and I believe one or two will be joining us by the end of March. Um, and it's all by the grace of God. I haven't recruited, I haven't sent out, other than Peter that I reached out to, I haven't sent out any emails or phone calls or anything like that. It's all organically. Um, Even the small team that I brought over from KW um, last month or the month before that. Um, so shifting to what I'm doing now, I wrote down three things to that helped me get ready for these meetings. And this is recorded, so if you guys, except for Caleb who's driving, you guys can write these down. So number one, and I prayed about this because this is the way that I think sometimes. Because again, even leading up to this meeting, I was like, man, I don't think I'm qualified to lead this. But Eli gave me the okay to do that, so I appreciate that. So give yourself permission to ask for permission to tell your story. Um, so sometimes we feel the unworthiness, like as we're about to open that door to get into that recruiting meeting. But you got to give yourself permission before you ask for permission, right? So before I go into these meetings, I say, God, please just open up and let me ask for permission to tell my story. Um, and it's amazing what these stories can lead up to. It's a little bit deeper than that, and I can share one story in particular, about a recruit that we have now on our collaboration group, at the end of this. But it's not only
Jose,
about.
I want to say something, and I hate to interrupt you. I don't hate to interrupt you. I'm okay with it. But and I want to make sure everybody kind of grasps of why we're here and why you're telling this story. Jose came into our team and then decided to go on his own, which we shook hands and it was all. We're here, we're friends. But Jose was the type of person that when he was with us or when we first met and we talked, Jose was the guy that wasn't going to ever attract anybody. I don't recruit. I don't attract anybody. That's just not me. I just want to sell houses. I want to build my team. And a lot of people are focused on recruiting. So hearing people who are focused on recruiting is great. And you get a lot of good ideas. But I wanted Jose to be here today because Jose is the guy that was never really intent on recruiting, but he's attracting people and people are coming to him. So I called him a couple of weeks ago and I asked, what's happening? Why is it people are coming to you? Why do you have 10 people with you now when this is the guy that 6 months ago was like, nobody's going to follow me. I don't know anybody. Nobody likes me. I don't know anything. I don't attract. I don't recruit. That's not my goal. So that's really why I wanted to have you here. So, and I'm not trying to change what you have. I want you to keep going with your notes, but I want people to grasp why we're here and why this conversation is important for people who might think the same thing. I don't attract. I'm not a recruiter, and that's great. Don't be a recruiter. I'm not a recruiter. My organization is now 100 people, and I've never recruited anybody. Actually, I take that back. I've tried recruiting 3 people. One of them is at EXP now at a different downline. One of them is at Rio, and the other one is stayed back at no, the other one's at LPT. So of the 3 I've gone after, none of them have ever joined. So it's actually about attraction. So I want to focus on that conversation. I don't want to take over the meeting, but I want people to understand why we're here and why this is so important to me.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Eli, for that. Yeah. So there's a difference between and I didn't know this until recently. There's a difference between recruiting and attracting. And if you see all the posts on real estate uh, masterminds or any of these real estate related pages on Facebook, EXP is the number one talked brokerage out there that's talked about recruiters, and it's like never ending, right? So EXP is a really bad word for other brokerages, and it's just we had to change that. So um, when we started being ourselves, my wife and I went into this faith walk. People started attracting to us, and I'm not saying that the people that are in our collaboration group are also faith seekers or they follow the same what we follow, but our story is very important to them and they relate. So when what the point I was trying to when I give myself permission to tell my story, and they accept that, I go into that story on why I'm doing what I'm doing now. And I just remember this, guys. New agents will have different goals than seasoned agents. New agents are going to they want to sell their first house. That's their number one goal. That's going to be your newer agents, but your seasoned agents are looking for ways to maybe grow their business to more of a passive income, or what legacy am I going to leave my kids? Um, how many streams of income can I have before I can stop showing closets for a living? Because that's one of my things. Yeah, selling real estate is awesome, but at the same time, you kind of get worn out, and you want to have this freedom to run your group, how Eli's running his group now, and all these, like Veronica Figueroa is running her group now, how Gil is doing it. So try to mimic that, and I think it's great. So the second bullet point that I have a 70-30 rule. And the 70-30 rule is, the agent will talk 70% of the time, I talk 30% of the time. Because they also have a story to share. Whether they want to share it or not, that's up to them. Um, but more oftentimes than not, they're going to share a story of why they became a real estate agent. If they're a seasoned agent, they're probably going to talk about how they dislike their current brokerage, right? And then you're going to have to ask some questions. Okay, so if you don't like your brokerage now, and just be real with them. How are we going to help you overcome that? And they were like, well, I just want to be more independent. That's more times than not, that's going to be your number one answer. But really listen to them. So I have a 70-30 rule. And 30% of the time, 70% of the time, I'm just listening to them talk. And they can just talk about, they can bash about their current brokerage, or they just simply want to talk about why they got into real estate and why they need to sell their first house. I give you an example. Denara, who I met through Eli, she has a powerful story as well. And I had Megan, my wife, sit with her yesterday at a coffee shop, and her story is very it's amazing what her story is, and how she came here from her country, and she wants to leave her current job. So we're gonna do everything in our power to assist her into reaching her goals. So that's another thing. My wife, she's now seeing, like, hey, can you also step in a little bit. And she met with half of the collaboration group on Monday, and then she met with Denara yesterday, and she'll meet with others as the week goes on. But that's also been very helpful for Megan and myself, because I also want her to feel like she's a part of this, and which she is. So bullet number 3, love and support them, whether they join you or not. You're gonna quickly notice that not everybody fits you or what you're trying to do, and that's okay. We've had agents that say, you know what, no, maybe later on I'll join, or they simply don't align with what you're trying to achieve, and that's okay too. And you're gonna have some agents that are like Twyla. She's a hustler. She's a full-time teacher. She's a full-time mom, and she does open houses three weekends out of 4 weekends in the month. And she loves doing that, and she's very out there. She loves cruising. She's been amazing to see what she's doing out there hustling. And but there's gonna be some agents that don't quite fit, and that's okay too. And even if they join a different downline, just love them through it, support them, and just tell them, hey, we're gonna be here whether you're joining us or not. And if it's meant to be, they'll come back. So and the goal of your story is to impact them. whether they, like I said, whether they want to join you or not, that's up to them. But you want to tell your story that way. Um, you have, and if you don't know, if you're new to attracting, always reach out to Eli. I've reached out to him many times, and he's given me some pointers. And part of the reason why I'm in this growth process is because of Eli. And one day he pulled me aside. He's like, "Man, you know what? You're a leader. You just don't know it." And even though I don't really like the word leader, it's one of those things where I kind of like, it's kind of cringy. Um, I embrace it, and I'm more than grateful for these partners that are coming and joining us. So
You're a leader, man. Here you are talking to us, sharing your story. I can see you're nervous.
I am super nervous. I've never done this
But
before.
let me put you on the spot even more. Twyla, can you turn your microphone on and tell me what made you reach out to Jose and why you decided to partner with him? Let her tell your story.
Okay, well, Jose, you're doing a great job, by the way. So I'm sending you positive vibes. So keep going, team lead. Um, First of all, Jose's spirit, Megan's spirit is amazing. I worked with his mom many moons ago when she was a para and now a teacher. We still have great, family values and friendship. The way that I see Jose and Megan is like family. And so that's one of the reasons why I definitely joined them. I, just finished last March, at the end of March, and I reached out to Nancy first, his mom, and I was like, listen, I finally passed this test. Now I got to find a brokerage. And so I immediately called Jose and we spoke, and he told me a little bit about XP. And I said, okay, well, let me get a little week. Let me look at other places as well, because I had some people that talked about KW and everything else. And I'm like, Jose, I prayed about it. I was like, you know what? He's never gonna tell me anything wrong. He's family. I trust him, and he's been amazing. I'm very busy, but I see my vision, and I know that I'm gonna sell my first house. I actually already set goals this year, 6 to 10, baby. I pray about my house every day. I post. I've just done whatever I can do. And whenever I need any assistance, I will reach out to him or Megan and say, hey, I'm thinking this. What do you guys think? And they'll just support me and lead me. And so, yes, he needs to embrace that role of team lead because he's done an amazing job.
Love it. Thank you, Twyla. You see,
You're
Jose,
welcome.
it's not necessarily, not to take away from what Twyla said, but it's not necessarily being a team lead. It's just being a leader, man. You're a leader for your wife. You're a leader, not to take anything away from Megan, but you're a leader for your wife. You're a leader for your kids. You're a leader in your church. You're a leader in your community. You're a leader in our organization. We got to take away the cringiness of the word leader, because just because just because you're a leader doesn't mean you're a boss, right? You don't have to feel like, oh, you're bossing people around or people. No, it's just you're a leader because people are attracted to your story, to who you are, to your personality. I actually reached out to you the first time we ever talked. I reached out to you, and I don't remember if I was trying to recruit you or what it was. I just told you, man, I like your attitude, I like who you are, and I want to be in business with you somewhere, somehow. And yeah, we ended up together at KW, right? Well, you not with me, but you were at KW as well.
Yeah,
Um,
you sent me a message on Facebook, and I had just gone I had just pulled into my KW office here, and that's exactly what you say. Like, hey man, like I like what you're doing. I'm not here to recruit you whatsoever, but it's funny, Eli, because just like we're both Puerto Rican and we follow each other and we follow a lot of our people. And I was like, man, like I like what he's doing. And I remember that one video where you expanded to Florida and you had the word EXP behind you, and you made a you made a funny video because in that video I think went bananas because people thought you were leaving the EXP, but it wasn't the time yet. And I think you made the move in November, and it wasn't until February of the next year that I actually moved to EXP. So I appreciate you rescuing me out of that because, like I said, EXP is a bad word to a lot of these brokerages, and I appreciate what you're doing and the value that you've provided, not only to myself but to other people. And this is one, and we can end it on this. Just like I tell Twyla, just like I tell Peter and Hannah, all these guys, I was like, we can provide all the tools necessary, but it's up to you to take action. And Eli, I appreciate you putting this forum on. Not everybody joins, and I know it could be a little frustrating, but we all need to put our little grain of salt and plug it in, including myself, plug it into these meetings and these masterminds, because they do help quite a bit.
Thank you. No, and it's all about community, right? And I always tell people, we try to put on these masterminds and these meetings, and sometimes you're not going to get any value out of it, right? There's times where the conversation is not about you. The conversation is not going to resonate with you, right? If we're talking about door knocking and you're not going to door knock, then hey, it's not going to be as attractive to you that day, that phone call. But there's something you're going to get out of that phone call or out of that mastermind. There's always a nugget. It's like a book, right? I don't care what book you read. It doesn't matter if you like it, if it's fiction, nonfiction, biography, whatever book you read, you're going to get something out of it. If you can get one thing out of a book you read, it was worth reading. If you can get one nugget out of a meeting that you attended, it was worth being there. So I appreciate you saying that. But back to the story thing, one of the biggest things that has been really good for me, if you're looking to attract, if you want to build a downline, or if there's people you want to be in business with, right? Forget about your downline, forget about attraction. There's just people out there you want to be in business with. I have my list. I call it my Dream 25. There are 25 people out there that have been in my list of people I want to be in business with. Caleb was on my list for years, right? So, but it wasn't, I wasn't even at EXP. We were both at KW, so there was no attracting him, right? There was no recruiting him. Just like you, Jose, when we first talked, we were both at KW, different downlines. I had no benefit of attracting you, but I wanted to be in business with these people. I wanted to be in business with Natasha. Natasha was an independent broker in Houston, Texas. I knew her through that for years. I love you too, man. That's Caleb getting romantic with me. He does it all the time on the chat. But I wanted to be in business with Natasha at some capacity. She owned her own brokerage. I was at KW, and we sat down. We had a tea one day or something. I don't even drink tea, but I wanted to be in business with her some way. And here we are 6 years later or 5 years later, and she is she's my whale at EXP, right? After I left KW, she called me 7 months later, and she's like, hey, talk to me about EXP. I was shocked. She owned 2 market centers. You don't know who's watching. Share your story. Be authentic. Let people know the real you. Don't do it to attract. Don't do it to recruit. Do it because you want people to know who you are, because there's somebody out there who needs you. There's somebody out there who needs Jose to be their leader. Whether Jose knows he's a leader, whether Jose accepts he's a leader, there's somebody out there who needs Caleb to be their leader. Caleb's a huge leader. I mean, he knows it too. Caleb knows it. I don't have no doubt Caleb knows it. But Caleb, there's somebody out there who needs Bernice. There's somebody out there who needs Megan. There's somebody out there who needs Jenny and Marcos. And that's just the way it is. So share your story. Don't be afraid to be authentic. Let people come to you, because people do come to you because somebody needs you. It's not about building a downline. It's about being in business, with people like, and trust. I'm not trying to go on a rant here or a tangent or take away the spotlight, because I appreciate you being Jose. But I think it was important. I think it's important for people to understand that the way you started this growth, and I think it's growth in your downline, growth in your business, growth in your partnerships, growth in your family. I see you, man. I compare our conversations today to our conversations a year and a half ago, and you are in a different state of mind. And I think a lot of it not all of it. I'm sure Megan has a lot to do with it. Your relationship with God has a lot to do with it, and the work you put in. But I think a big piece of where you are and why you are where you are now is because you've been authentic and you're sharing your story. You are no longer afraid to let people know who you are. It's no longer about Jose the realtor. No, it's a lot of people out there, and this is not about you. One of the things I do well that some people don't like is I put my wins out there, but I also put my failures out there. And I think you being vulnerable and allowing people to know the struggles you've had, how Megan gave you an ultimatum about your marriage because something was wrong. Right? We don't need to get into details. Something was going on wrong. Something you were doing wrong that Megan said, or both of you were doing wrong, that Megan said, either we take this step and fix this, or something's going to go and it's not going to work. So you being vulnerable and putting that story out there, that's what this conversation is about today. It's put your story out there because people want to connect with authentic people. And I'll put one more thought on this. This is also for your clients. I've tested this. I've spent thousands of dollars in video production to do videos on my listings and walkthroughs and marketing. Thousands. I had a videographer follow me through Keller Williams mega camp years ago in Austin, Texas. Thousands of dollars in video, and they'll get 1,000 views, 500 views, 2,000 views. The minute I turn my phone on and I do a video, I have 1.7, 2.4 million views on TikTok. I'll have 10,000 views on YouTube. I'll have 100,000 views on Facebook. People want authenticity. So the point of this conversation is share your story and share it authentically, because that's what people want, and that's what's missing in the marketplace right now. That's all I got to say. Take it back to Jose. We can wrap it up now if you want to, if you have any final thoughts. If anybody has questions, comments, anything you want to share on this topic or off this topic, we're here. Yeah,
share your story, share your value, and be authentic. That's the three things that you're spot on. And there's a lot of real estate is all about the shiny objects, and people are like, oh, they post all their, like you said, all the positive things that go into all the cars and all the houses and all that stuff, but they rarely share the loss of listings, the falling of under contracts, all the hard work that goes on top of that. So, and Megan has a question. She's not here, she's somewhere. Well, she was taking her daughter to the doctor, but go ahead.
Hi. I just wanted to add something really quickly, because I don't know if you noticed, Eli, or not, but I was on the Zoom call last week with Gil. And I took 3 pages of notes, okay? And because I'm a note taker. And I also had the girls at home with me. But something that he said that I feel like we do apply, or Jose really does apply, is that instead of being like the agent that you see on whatever, Bravo or TV or whatever, you be a friend. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why Jose is able to relate to so many people, because instead of being like a leader per se, above a leader, he's a friend. And I think that has a lot to do with it too, is that he knows how to be a friend, and we know how to support the people that truly need like help, right? Because sometimes you don't necessarily need like direction, you just need someone to lean on. And I think that makes the biggest difference for us too. I just wanted to add that.
I love it. You know what it is, and I'll summarize that out in what I hear you saying is people need community. That's it. That community doesn't have to be a community who leads, who tells you what to do, who shows you what they're doing right so you can follow it or copy it. People need community. People need to connect with other people, and that's the whole intention of this downline, which I never intended to build, but here it's become, is just to have community. And sometimes we'll have conversations about nothing, and sometimes we'll have conversations about everything. And this is what Jose has been able to build, and I'm proud of you. I'm super proud of you, man. So I appreciate you being here. Proud of what you're building. Keep kicking ass. I know in the end this is all thanks to Megan, and you're just kind of the face. But hey, keep following whatever she's doing, because she's a rock star.
Thank you, Eli, for giving me my place, because sometimes I have to remind them a little too often.
Well, I know the truth. I know the truth. But thank you guys, and thank you everybody for being here. Everybody who showed up, I appreciate y'all being here, as always. And Jose, thank you for being vulnerable today, for being here to do this. I will let you know when we're doing this again on a different topic for you to help. And I think it gets easier as you do it more often. So just get used to doing it, man.
Appreciate you, Eli. Thank you, everybody.
Anybody else? Any questions, comments before we go? On anything? Anybody need assistance on anything? Anybody need help? Anybody have questions? Anything I can help you with right now? Nope. Oh, there's Berenice. Oh, there she is. You turn on the camera. All right. Well, good seeing y'all. Appreciate you. Have an awesome rest of your week.
You too, brother. Thank you. Bye-bye.